All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Your eyes do not deceive you. I am recording this on Twitch, but you probably are going to see this on YouTube. So, just in case, I'm covering my bases here because, yeah, your eyes do not deceive you. Uh, I haven't had a chance to remove the reviews part of my logo, but I am going to be back to my channel being called Smirking Gun. Sorry for the confusion if anybody doesn't like it. Sorry. I don't know what else to say, but there'll be more explanations later to the sudden change back. Well, not so sudden since I haven't really made any content too much on any channel other than playing some games. But that's right, your eyes do not deceive you. We are back. And for these purposes, again, I'm recording this on Twitch to get some practice in. Get some practice on talking again, talking about movies, talking about shows, talking about things I like, talking about things that I, want to talk about, how I want to talk about it. So, all you long suffering folks out there, welcome back. Anybody that finds this later and is new, uh, welcome. If you like, you could hit that like button and subscribe button, but to each his own. You either want to or not. And one of the reasons why I'll say this about why it's back to being Smirking Gun is because I really want to go back to feeling like I did then. And a name doesn't change anything. I know that, but it helps me with a feeling that I get when I think about those older videos. And I think that the people that like this channel and the people that could like this channel deserve the whole real motherfucking Smirking Gun way of being on this channel again. I'm trying to get back to that way of, just because I say fuck doesn't mean I'm great, but it does make me feel like more energized and ready to go and more into it. And what a movie to start out with. To start this kind of attitude return to form, hopefully, a little bit. I figured I was going to be talking about this to practice anyway. Um, but by the way, this is Rob. My name is Rob. If you're new to this channel, Smirking Gun is just the channel name. Welcome to the channel, folks. This is the way it goes. In fact, before we even get into Barbie, all right, for anybody new, all right, this is how it goes. It's stream of consciousness. I took a shitload of notes, man. I got like 4 cards here full of notes, and we're going to try to get to all of them. And I'm going to probably go off on some, tangents, not really tangents, but monologues. I don't know how you want to put it. Stream of consciousness, folks. And that's what we do here. And we try to be honest and relatable because I'm not a critic. I've called my channels reviews, but really, man, I'm always just talking about how a movie makes me feel, what it makes me think, what it reminds me of, all those things on top of reviewing something and saying whether or not it's good or not. I think there's ways of doing it where you don't have to review it, but like where you have to grade it or whatever. But I mean, spoiler alert, if you want the quickie review so you can just click off of this video already, Barbie was fucking awesome. I fucking loved Barbie. I am so glad that I wish I had made the trip to the theater because again, this is a waited for Blu-ray. Haven't done one of these in a while, but I technically waited for Blu-ray, so let's call it what it is. This movie to me is definitely one of the best movies of the year. I think Greta Gerwig pulled something off really great here, along with everybody else involved, mostly everybody else involved. I think some people in, some of the parts in this were fine. A couple of the roles were just kind of whatever, but I really liked everybody for the most part in this. Uh, how is it that we have like 2 really great movies about toys? I would say 3, but in a second I'll explain why. So before this, and I'm explaining it now. because the Lego movie, right, was recently, not that long ago. Maybe getting a little bit long in the tooth now, I guess, since there was a sequel. And what I mean is the first Lego movie was incredible. It was a great movie about Legos and all sorts of stuff. I mean, it was about us. Again, these movies, one of the reasons why this movie works, why that movie works and why this movie works is it takes a concept or an object, which is these toys, right? Legos, Barbie dolls, whatever, and is able to expand on it into this grander story about who we are. And the toys are more like avatars, like they are when we play with them. And they're explained in more adult ways in these movies. But you can dress it up so that kids can listen to it and understand it and not be talked down to. And it also has a lot of meaning for adults, especially those two particular toys. I mean, everybody's grown up with Legos and Barbie, whether you played with it or not, was in the consciousness for at least a really long time. I'm not going to say been that important in the last 20 years as far as I know, but guess what? Barbie's not on my radar. For all I fucking know, Barbie's like the goddamn biggest thing ever still, and that's fine. If Barbie is still important now as she was when she started, great. But they made these two movies and they did it again in a way that's not like anybody. These movies shouldn't be great. These should be like on paper anyway. There's no reason they can't be, but most of the time when you hear this kind of thing coming out, it screams cash grab, which they all are. All movies, all commerce is a cash grab. But when it feels soulless, a soulless cash grab is different than people just wanting to make money off of a product that they hope is good or think is good. And before I lose my train of thought, it's just, how did we get like these two really great? And I don't count Lego Movie 2 because I fell asleep during Lego Movie 2. I don't know what the hell happened there. Maybe it's really good and I just don't. Maybe I'm just remembering it wrong, but I didn't like it as much as the first Lego movie, and that's fine too. And like Lego Batman, for that matter, is great. But after the Lego movie, I count the Lego series, like Lego Ninjago or whatever, is one thing, and Barbie's another thing. Like, all right, stop talking about Legos. Right. This movie, though, I mean, this movie isn't just. This is again going back to the whole that this isn't just about Barbies. I listened to a couple of people talk about this movie. Um, that's all I've listened to. I've heard plenty of the negative side of this movie, mostly because you just almost have a hard time getting away from the negative. Uh, on social, networks. If I have to actually explain that part, and if everybody's like, "No, really." Negativity online, it's an old story, but it's, the constant one in our face. We're always getting the negative. We are barely seeing the positive, or we're not seeking out the positive, which, a lot of people just love to watch train wrecks, or hopefully things are train wrecks, whatever. Well, thankfully, Barbie didn't turn out that way. But this movie to me, in the end, it's about like, it's about a lot, first off. But I think a lot of what this movie is about is just how, as people, if we want to go like men, women, or whatever you identify as, we need each other. We need to take better care of each other. We need to care about each other, really care about each other. It should be everyone that cares about each other. But in our world, there are certain power levels where people are just beyond our, they're in another reality practically, usually dealing with money and power. I think that this movie is for us. mostly. It can be for, anybody can it can be for anybody. Anything can be for anybody. But I think in particular, it's more at least important for all of us down here to at this level, at the regular human level, to be better to each other. There's a lot of themes in this, and people out there want to point out just the loudest screamers are still the minority. Most people don't scream about Barbie because we don't need to. All right, we don't feel the need to scream from the hilltops that Barbie is this and Barbie is that. We watch the movie, we give our thoughts, and we move on. Or sometimes they can inspire us. If they inspire you to do something and put something into the world that's good or productive or whatever, however, and positive at least, that's another thing that, like is acceptable really, right? But we just, it's the negative screamers that always get the most attention, and everything that they talk about this movie and any of these movies, any attempt where part of a movie's message is about empowerment for anybody other than dudes. I just put it in the broader sense instead of narrowing it down and picking on any one group of people because we don't need to. It's right out in the open, right? I mean, I can spell. Usually I do, man, but it's men in general. But that's not to say this movie doesn't let women off the hook either. That's the part that these people always leave out. They always like lawyers, right? The lawyer doesn't ask a certain question because he doesn't want a certain kind of answer. We always do this. Nobody wants, if all you're ever hearing in the little echo chambers that you're in is just what you're comfortable with, you're always going to just hear the negative, right back at you instead of being open to looking in the mirror, which this movie does. But it does it for everyone. Men and women are both are having to look in the mirror here. This movie puts a mirror up to us. And it's not like it's not rubbing our nose in it. It's actually trying to do it in a very kind way, like Barbie. The whole tone of this movie really is like, come on, everybody. Like, we're smarter than this. We're better than this. There's a positivity to even the negativity in this movie. And what Greta Gerwig pulled off here is amazing. And I don't know, like, best screenplay, best director, I feel like she should at least be nominated. Because I think that this is fantastic. And it's so creative. And we'll be segueing in and out of different things, folks. So it might be serious, it might be silly, it might be whatever. But I'm not gonna completely spoil this movie. If you haven't seen it, we've already been talking for 13 minutes. But I will talk about a few scenes, but I'll try to talk more in broader general things in the way I feel as usual. But I do want to break up the beginning of this movie, like the Stanley Kubrick 2001 thing. I fucking loved it. I thought that was great. I thought that was freaking great, man. Just a bunch of like little girls playing with dolls, and then their lives change when the obelisk of Barbie shows up. That really made me smile. I was like, oh, I'm in pretty good hands, I think. I think I'm in pretty good hands here. Let's see. And I'm going to start reading my notes here. All right. So speaking to the detractors of this movie, right? The ones who can't handle it, the ones who who might not even believe it. We're talking about the online grifters that are everywhere like a plague on every one of us that cater to the really most susceptible and naive groups of people out there. And it's it's a freaking shame, man, that this is how people have chosen to contribute to society by just conning people online spreading hatred and not being tolerant and not being in support of progress, because that's what all this is, man. Life is progress. Things move forward, and these men and some real, I don't know if you're self-hating women or you're just in on the grift too, which I know. I mean, come on. Either choice is no good. Either choice is so negative and awful. Whether they're lying or in on it or both, just don't care. But you look at what this movie's really saying to these people, and a lot of them are religious, and I hold that against them. Look, if you don't know me already on this channel, I'm not a big fan of religion. You believe what you want to believe, as long as you're not hurting anyone. Just like everybody's allowed to basically do whatever they want as long as they're not hurting anyone, and that includes, I just don't need religion, and I don't think anybody really does, but that's just my opinion. I don't want to get off too much on a tangent, but what these people are preaching is this: any kind of threat to their patriarchy, they throw things in people's faces. Why do they get so upset? And I always go back to one of my favorite lines in any movie, and it comes from Empire Strikes Back. But one of the reasons why I like this line, especially here, is because it throws a great line from these kind of the same kind of people that love Star Wars so fucking much. It's the most important thing in their lives, and they love it so much that they can't stop talking shit about it because it hasn't lived up to their standards. And oh my god, all the women are taking over the force. So I like to throw this quote back in their faces because it comes from their their all powerful trilogy. It's from Empire Strikes Back, and it's one of the truest things, right? Is that the reason these guys are so upset is because of this line. Well, I must have hit pretty close to the mark to get her all riled up like that, huh, kid? I love it when Han Solo says that. I didn't appreciate it my whole life because I was young and stupid and didn't know what things meant. But as a seasoned adult at this point, I understand that better. And it's true. One of the biggest things that we do to ourselves is we get mad at ourselves and we redirect our anger to the world because we're actually fucking pissed at our own fucking failings and inadequacies and all the insecurities that we have. And so we rage out against the thing that we think is pissing us off when it's really just reminding us that we need to work on things, that things aren't great all the time, and that there's always room for improvement. But that just scares the shit out of all these people because they're not ready to, they look in the mirror, they see that, they're reminded of it, and it's, everybody's on a journey. It's just that, you really wish some people would get there quicker. And unfortunately, people just don't. People just don't get there quick enough. But hell, look, speaking of which, like when we're talking about people not getting there quicker, I was wondering, what kind of Ken am I? I was being silly earlier, thinking about it, like the different kinds of Ken that I could be. Self-deprecating Ken. Um, God, I wish I had written all of them down, because I didn't, and I really should have. But I'm gonna choose, because they were really dark. They were really dark, like not living up. Oh, I remember one. Not living up to his potential, Ken. Um, that's not too bad. It's kind of dark. Not as dark as the original one, and if I can remember that before the end of the video, I'll let you guys in on it. But I think self-improvement, no, always improving, Ken, something along those lines. I think I could accept that. That's all right, accepting progress, Ken. I don't know. Okay. Okay, so next bit of my notes. there's a lot of, when you as you get through this movie, they set up like what Barbie is supposed to mean to the world and what the Barbies, the actual dolls, think they've done versus what's reality. And the complicated history of Barbie, as far as what she represented at what time period and everything, all those things are true, what they say about this. There's all the different perspectives that are brought out by the girls or Rhea Perlman's character, the creator, and how there's several like America Ferrera and how she sees it and how her daughter sees it, and there's all these perspectives of what Barbie should be, but they're all those things. They all were those things, and they become other things, and they keep trying to improve. And I I really feel that the movie, which is still at the heart, trying to capture that, like, what does it mean? What are the things that Barbie really wants to be for the girls who play? What does it mean? What does she represent to her? And it should be like anything that they want. And I think that that's a really great message that's in this movie. I really like that a lot. Um, I was thinking about Ken too, which, oh my God, Ryan Gosling. I mean, the Nice Guys is one of my favorite movies of all time. I own the shirt. I have the poster. Yeah, I love that movie. I always knew he had comedic timing, and then when I saw him in the trailer, I was like, that was one of the major ins. It's like when I saw the trailer, and I don't watch a lot of trailers, folks, and I watched this one because on the surface, I didn't think I'd ever want to see it. The trailer convinced me though that I did want to see it, and it was when Ryan Gosling popped up in the trunk, I think, that made me go, oh man, he's so good as Ken in this. And I was thinking about again the critiques of this about like Ken being so worthless and everything, but who? Why do guys care? Why is it all of a sudden a toy that none of us played with? All right, not okay, not none of us, just not generally cisgender whatever men, straight guys, straight dudes didn't normally play with Ken or Barbie unless we were like, pulling a Toy Story 1 and, destroying them and, drawing on them or whatever. We played with GI, the regular, straight white boys in general, sorry. We played with our action figures. And the most part, the girl action figures that were part of every show, like GI Joe, and there was even girl Transformers, right? And we would, if we could get our hands on like our sister's toys, right? We'd play with them, but they would always be the other. We would put them in their role. They might fight by our side, but we were never or play with by their side or whatever. But they were still in their roles. And I always think that like, what's the difference if this is how the toys are usually played with? The girls play with Barbie, and Ken's basically an accessory. He's the thing you get, and it's as much as like it says, the girl needs the guy, right? But like, I never really cared whether or not Ken existed or not. This was a thing that if you chose to play with it, you could get into this world, but I don't I'm getting buried, I think. But all I'm trying to say, I guess, is that like, why do these guys give a shit about whether Ken is like how he's portrayed in this as like, oh, like a a hapless dude who nobody cares about. It's like, do you even watch the whole movie? Did you even watch the whole movie? Because Ken has a big ass arc, and again, it's not just about Barbie and she's owning Ken or something, or Ken owning Barbie. It's all about again, their relationship is kind of a microcosm of all of us. Everybody in this is like this microcosm of how we do treat each other and how we should treat each other, as opposed to how they are in this movie and how they have to get to that point. But again, I just wanted to bring up that like it's like when you're character in a video game switches like The Last of Us Part 2 and it's 2 females instead of Joel. Spoilers for Last of Us Part 2. Yeah, why does it matter all of a sudden? It just I don't know. It's like no I don't wanna get too far out track. So my next piece of note was Alan. Michael Cera is in this as a Ken, but not a Ken, named Alan. If I had one of my critiques, it'd be like it was fine seeing him in this, but once the shtick, it was a gag that went on too long. I think Alan should have had maybe 2 scenes and then just kind of forgotten about because he's supposed to be. They made him a lot bigger character, and I just didn't really feel like I felt like it was an extended cameo that just the joke wasn't that great because they weren't really developing it that well other than, oh, all of a sudden he can fight and stuff, and it was just like, who cares? I really didn't care about it. And also, like, if we're gonna talk about, like, guests or, cameos or whatever, Will Ferrell, again, he was also in the Lego Movie and played an integral part in that, and he's in this, but he's not as integral. Anybody could have played this part. In fact, I would have, like whenever I see a business board meeting, I always want it to be, Kevin McDonald or not Kevin McDonald, but Mark McKinney, doing his, like, Lorne Michaels, impression, like the boardroom guy, and just being like that. "Oh, hello there." But instead we get Will Ferrell, pardon me, Will Ferrell doing his Will Ferrell shtick. And there's a couple of good lines, but mostly it's just like if you really dig Will Ferrell's shtick, uh, then you'll like it. But it just kind of was like there, and I was like, man, they could cut out like a lot of this, which is, I guess, since we're talking about minor critiques, I would say that without those scenes, this movie could have been shorter, and it kind of felt like it should have been shorter. This is a almost 2-hour long movie, and I just felt like even though there were definitely things that I would miss if they cut some of it out, seeing it now, I'd be like, but they could have trimmed some of this out. I don't know. It felt a little bit long in the tooth by the end. Um, Next thing I got, the change for Ken and Barbie in real life was great. Um, a lot of this is in the trailer and getting to see it more extended out. Uh, just the difference in their realities and him seeing how, oh, on the surface, like, and I like that they put this in check. Like they don't make it just a man's world. Like a man can just get away with anything and take anything he wants. It means they show that he can get what he wants if he does this, that, and the other. Like, but it's easier for him, like they're just like, oh, you just need this. No, but for plot's sake, they don't have the time for Ken to get an MBA. So they show like that his road to the top isn't just handed to him either. Like, not everybody that makes it in the world as a man was just handed it. A lot of hard work goes into, I would say, most guys that get to a upper level. And what they do when they get there, that's a different story. But like anybody, I think it also showed like you do have to put in work. They were funny scenes because he made them funny. And he was so funny in this. Oh my god. I freaking love this guy. I can't believe that I didn't like get into Ryan Gosling for like a really long time. Um Next note, we don't have genitals. Like throwing it out there and throwing him in there too, not thinking like it would be something that he should be like concerned with. But like it's like as soon as they get to the real world, they are automatically talking about their junk or lack thereof. Ken finding his people, or at least again, like he thinks he does, and Barbie's moment where she's kind of sees the world, and at first it looks ugly. She sees like different people like just being awful to each other, and then but seeing as she looks and scans it, everyone's different. Everyone's having a journey, a different experience, and she starts that appreciation. Like Barbie's able to see all of it and not be completely torn apart about it. Like she's handling it. She's going, "Oh, I see the complex. This is complex shit." she's seeing, and she cries, but she feels good. I like that. Uh, one of the greatest things about this movie is that it's in a cartoon world, man. Like, any critiques of this movie that are like, if anybody goes, well, how would this happen and how would that happen, dude? Like, this movie's a cartoon, so let's not talk about rules about like how the world should work in this one, because as soon as the Mattel Corporation gets a call from the FBI about loose dolls, I went, "Oh, okay, okay, movie. All bets are off. You can do whatever you want. This is like Toontown." So I really appreciated that. I thought this is a great twist. Again, just it lets the movie do what it needs to. If you don't have any rules, if you make it a live action cartoon, you can break any rule you want, because look, we all watch cartoons our whole lives, right? Especially Gen X, right? We fucking love cartoons still. We fucking love them. Um, and how much of that shit made sense? How much of it really makes sense? It's just as silly as anything else. So don't get too bent out of shape at this movie for not making tons and tons and tons of logical sense. Um, America Ferrera, who I forgot was in this. Again, I think this movie takes a little bit too long to get to her. Again, like I said, I think some things could be trimmed down a little bit in this movie to get things moving, because by the time we got to her, I was like, holy shit, I thought this movie must be almost over. But no, it was pretty much still it was like near the middle. But I really liked her in it. Big fan of hers from Superstore. Never saw Ugly Betty because I just thought it was like kind of, to be honest, the main reason I didn't watch Ugly Betty is because I thought, why are they trying to say that America Ferrera isn't actually beautiful, and that this is just supposed to be one of those like, oh, they all look at her like she's less than, and I just kind of never got into that whole thing because I just didn't buy it. I just thought it was, I don't know. Also, just kind of needlessly cruel. Um, but I've seen some of it. It's not terrible. It's just still not for me. But I like her from Superstore a lot. I liked her a lot on that show. Next note: Barbie meets the girls. Oh boy, this is where she gets her. This is where in the trailer when it says, for people who hate Barbie, and you see these girls, and these are the girls that they're at an age where it's like fuck Barbie, and this is what Barbie did for against feminism, and rips Barbie a new asshole. If she had an asshole, her first asshole, they rip her first asshole, her actual asshole, her only original asshole. I'm gonna stop saying asshole. But yeah, they do that, and I thought that was, again, it's fantastic because it's just showing another layer of the thing. She does not know. This is her wake up call. This is the movie this is the moment where she finally realizes that what she's thought her whole life was a lie. But like it's not even the right person, but she still gets the information, and how we get to that is nice. I really liked that. Um, Talking about the patriarchy to the one guy, and he's like, we do it well. We just hide it better. Um, I don't know how I feel about that line because I don't think they're hiding it at all. If I think that that's the hiding, is that we don't have to hide. That's what it should have been. I'd say we're hiding, but we don't have to hide it. Rhea Perlman. Freaking love Rhea Perlman. Uh, she doesn't get she's rarely been given the opportunity, or at least maybe because Carla and other roles like in Matilda, I think it was, and other like things that she did in the 90s, where she always just had to play the cantankerous, mean spirited or bad. And in this, getting to play the creator of Barbie, I really liked that. They could have gotten anybody for this, It was Rhea Perlman, and I think it's nice that she got to be nice. So hats off to Rhea Perlman. Um, Watching the men, how they act in this, it's so over the top and cartoony. And again, man, it's like it's not supposed to be like like you see how some of these characters act, and it's like being well purposely overblown. But, like, when they can't control Barbie, right, they're losing their fucking minds, and it's like but it's not just Barbie we're talking about, right? And none of these things are that subtle, but, like, when I see how these men react, like, this it's so desperate. It's so desperate to retain control, and it just that obsession that people have with the male-female thing or whatever, relationships, period. Whoever's the man or woman and whatever you identify as, I guess. However you choose to handle your relationship. It when you look at least how straight white men act. I'm not gonna speak for everybody else because I can only speak for my journey, but as someone who has observed the other single white males and myself, I'm not free of judgment here. I got a lot of work. This movie made me realize that if I don't just owe probably a couple of apologies, but I think in some cases an apology is you don't have to apologize. It's more like just do better. Just do better and hope that, like anybody you could be better around, maybe that they notice and that they can see the change and maybe that's all they really want. Maybe sometimes people just want to see progress from you rather than you proselytizing. I don't even know if I said that right. Proselytize? I don't know. Groveling, for forgiveness. Uh, but I look at this and I go like, this hold that they have over things. Dude, doesn't it, like it? It's like a desperation that says, I have to control this because I have no control over anything else in my life. And I know that this is going down a rabbit hole because it usually does when I start thinking this way. But it goes back to all like for me, it goes like to is the desperation because people realize that even if they believe in some kind of fucking afterlife, this is the only chance they're gonna get in this life to get what you want. And there's this like sad desperation that if they can't have the certain women or any woman or however you want to look at it, that it's they just I don't know. It's just really sad. And when I've seen myself do this myself, again just and again, I think that this also can also be it's not just about like men, it's not just men that do this. And, I apologize to anybody who is really looking forward to just a regular ass review, but, I don't review things, I discuss things. That's what I've come to realize is that I'm always just talking like this. Except this time I said I had a lot of thoughts, and they weren't just about the movie, man. They're about the damn all of us, everything. Life, the universe, and everything. I think is that a Douglas Adams thing? I don't know. But it's like, does anybody really believe in anything at the end of it? Is in the end, is it just our base impulses that we just like we want to be able to say before the end of our, I don't know. Moving on because I really kind of like, the plane crashed into the mountain there a little bit, but I don't care. So we're gonna segue into Mojo Dojo Casa House. That made me laugh out loud. That made me laugh out loud. I loved it. Um, America Ferrera's monologue in this was really, really fantastic. Uh, I know that this wasn't done in one take, but man, I would like to see if she accomplished that. Um, the Zack Snyder cut dig was fucking great. It's a throwaway line, and I, I've sometimes trolls level does nobody any good because they'll be that's free content for these fuckers. So anytime you say anything about them, it's free content for them to make money off of. And so I just tell people it's like the Paul Anka scene in The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror where he makes a jingle that says, "Just don't look. Just don't look. Don't pay attention to the shit so it'll go away." So anytime that there's like some kind of wink even at these people, I wince because I go, "Oh, you guys don't know how much money you just made for those fucks." Um, but I still at the time I heard it, loved hearing the Zack Snyder cut dig because that goes after the geeks and gamers and the fandom menace motherfuckers out there that are just grifting and taking people's money. I mean, I heard that the rumor is that that shit's kind of going out the way of the dodo, but there'll always be hate. It's the internet. Um, Sublime when he goes into the room and says, just yells Sublime, was fantastic. You have to see the movie. That one's like an out of context thing. You'll get it when you see it. But right after that, when he's playing fucking Matchbox 20, I was like, of course they're playing Matchbox fucking 20. Look, Rob Thomas, you made your millions of dollars. All right. So me saying that you guys really suck. I mean, look, I can't play instruments. I'm not up there singing songs. I do karaoke every once in a while, but it's been a while. Been a while. Um, but please, dude, just acknowledge that you're mute. Like you didn't do anything good for sorry. You didn't do anything good. No, I don't. I'm sorry. I don't like your music. I don't like Matchbox 20, and I just thought, God, it's such a perfect like band to play as a Ken. Just the only other thing that would have been better is like Nickelback or something. Um, I've said that this holds a mirror up to us. We all owe each other basically in the end a bunch of apologies, really. Like I said, or just do better. We need to do better. We need to treat each other better. Um, I'm on my last page of notes, by the way. They talk about Barbie and Ken. They say Barbie and Ken a lot, and this doesn't mean anything other than when I was growing up, and for some reason it popped into my head to say Ken and Barbie. At one point, and somebody can leave this in the comments or whatever. Didn't it go Ken and Barbie once? For was it always Ken and Barbie, or I imagine Barbie came first, and then when they added Ken, did it automatically become Ken and Barbie? Like some guys like, well, now that there's a Ken, we got to put the man in front of the woman. Or am I remembering that wrong? I don't know. It's nothing, but we're getting to the end here. I was thinking about the only other, I've actually liked two things that have been Barbie before. The other one was that, well, first is this, but the other one was the way that they portrayed Barbie and Ken in Toy Story. I thought that that was all really fun. So even though I don't really, I never played with the dolls and I don't watch, those little, the little CGI movies and shit like Tinkerbell and stuff. I think that I I I really did like those interpretations of the character, and I also like that they brought up ordinary Barbie in this because I remember thinking a long time ago, folks, uh, about like why isn't there just a fucking ordinary Barbie? And this movie finally brought that up, and I know I can't be the only one. Um, Ryan Gosling's "I Am Knuff," that hoodie that he's wearing near the end of the movie, "I Am Knuff," and it's all rainbow and like I don't know if that was feathers or like some kind of fake fur or whatever, but I have to own that. I have to find that. I don't care if it's like a prop or whatever. Even if I can find a decent looking T-shirt that says that and at least a real kind of brash kind of look to it. I want it to be big and bold like the shirt or like the hoodie is. I have to find that. I have to own that. Um, and in the end, like I said, this movie, it I haven't broken down it scene by scene because it was mostly making me think about, real life implications to this. And when a movie can do that, that I didn't see coming, I really appreciate that. Barbie's not a perfect movie. Doesn't need to be the best movie, one of the best movies of the year. These days, most movies really are crap. But this movie stands out. It took some chances, it swung for the fences, and it succeeded, and it's to me, this movie is like the an outlier. I wish it was not an outlier. I hope it's a trend. I would like it to be more of a trend, because this movie to me, the way that people are now when it comes to entertainment, things die before they even come out, and the fact that this movie overpowered all of that and just showed how stupid people are when it comes to taking stuff like this too seriously or allowing yourself to hate things so much, to hate change, to hate progress, to feel like, "Oh my god, I'm about to be replaced somehow in this world by girls. Oh my god, I might have to share society with women." Well, tough shit, pal. Pals, guys, or anybody that, like, feels like this world's only for them. Well, this movie shows that the world's for everyone. And we need to treat each other better, all of us. And there's so many different ways to look at this movie. There's so many things in this movie, and I'm only talking about my side. I know that there are a billion different ways of people talking about this movie, and I hope that even if it was all over the place for you, I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed me talking about it. I didn't spoil the ending. I didn't get into all that because it just really, to me, in the end, wasn't about all that. It wasn't about whether or not this was A to B to C to D, a great movie, and all the scenes worked and all they didn't. They didn't. Not everything works all the time. It's not perfect. I also like the soundtrack for the most part. And that's about it. I know that that these things usually like they're going and they're going and then they're over. And you know what? That's fine too. So Barbie, really dug it. Hope you guys dig it too. Hope you guys enjoyed what I was saying here. If not, that's fine too. But if you did, like and subscribe. And I will see you guys on some other video.